Try and get some deadlifts in. Just try and start with lower back. And I want to go a little like heavier, but at the same time, feeling kind of sore. So I don't want to go too crazy. Could go like just traditional universal bar, but I think I'm just gonna go nice and light, you know. So that's what we're gonna do. Ooh. I just started with some pull-ups, so just gonna get the compound out the way and go from there. I don't necessarily have to go lower back to middle back to upper back, but I like to get the compounds out the way, 'cause they basically consist of like the most taxing movements and the most body parts or muscle groups involved. So that's why I tend to just try and knock them out first. You're welcome. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like I said, I started with pull-ups, got that out the way, and that was the warm-up. My body is kind of warm just from doing those pull-ups, and now I'm just working on getting the deadlifts out. So we're gonna start with, like I said, the compounds, get the deadlifts out the way, and then from there we go. We'll go from deadlifts to, normally I would not skip around. I'd go lower back, middle back, upper back. So in this case, it'd be like deadlifts, rows, and you know what? Since I have this bar right here and it's not that heavy, I'll go right to rows after this with the same weight. This is not crazy. There have been times when I would go much, much heavier. For example, I do deadlifts with like, I don't know, say, because I used to do good mornings with 3 plates, which is 315, which is, I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's what I used to do. I could do them standing and seated, but I prefer to do them seated with no weight belt because they're pretty dangerous, So, especially with that kind of weight. Hey, Cher, what's up? How you doing? So, I would tend to do heavy weight, good morning seated with 315, and then I would also do rows with 315, and then I would do deadlifts with 315. But obviously it's a different time, so now I'm going extremely light, and that's fine. It's totally fine. So I'm gonna keep the same recipe and pick the same weight and kind of do rows, deadlifts. Probably not gonna do good mornings, but I'll play out the same. Page out the same playbook. keep the same weight. It's crazy that I'd go that heavy now, looking back, where they'd basically be doing good mornings, deadlifts, and bent over rows with the same weight, and it was all heavy, But I was pretty much built for it, and it wasn't like I was shorting myself in any area, So now it's like, honestly, looking forward, even as a goal, I don't even really need to do those weights. I mean, maybe once in a while, shock the system and go a little heavier. But, and this is not like a look at Ronnie Coleman type of thing. No, it's just because I think if your tendons, your joints, and your musculature are, where they need to be, because look at Michael Hearn, right? If they're where they need to be, then you should be able to handle it, That's what I think. But you have to kind of be interesting. So that's what it comes down to. And what separates Michael Hearn from Ronnie Coleman, For as gifted as Coleman might be, or Dexter Jackson might be, or Phil Heath might be, or Jay Cutler might be, a lot of them just tend to start going lighter and lighter with age, right? Michael Hearn is an exception because he's not spring chicken by any means, but at the same time it's like, what's the difference, right? You can't say Ronnie Coleman didn't have good genes, right? So how does Ronnie Coleman destroy himself but Michael Hearn doesn't, right? What separates the two? I think it has to do with the mindset. Like, one has I'm not saying Michael Hearn doesn't have a balls to the wall approach, but Ronnie Coleman was probably clearly just going crazy all the time. Whereas Michael Hearn may have been more strategic, in his approach, and treaded more cautiously and carefully through the years, and probably stayed very consistent, right? Whereas maybe there was sporadic, especially after Olympias were done, and it's like you're still going with that same mentality, perhaps, and I'm only assuming. I don't really know, because like I said, you can't say Ronnie Coleman didn't have really incredible genes, right? And obviously Michael Hearn has really awesome genes as well. But why does one's body get destroyed and the other's is still at a high level? And they're probably around the same age, right? Or near, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, and like I said, I'm not trying to just go ridiculously light in weight for a long period of time, because my mind just, it doesn't allow me to. No matter how restrictive I am, I'm eventually pushing myself to go heavier and heavier. But the difference is not necessarily an age thing per se. It's more of a like, am I interested thing. And I'm just not interested, you know? Like I said, I don't mind going heavier, but to go nuts, I'm not really interested. So that's really what it comes down to, and that's the difference between a different time and now. So, and like I always say, you can get stellar results without having to have the mindset of a power lifter, right? Because if you switch off and separate the two of powerlifting and like, let's say, bodybuilding, right? Because as a bodybuilder, you're trying to sculpt and shape, right? Powerlifter, it's about, like, you know, I'm not saying ego, but it's like what's your purpose, you know? And for me personally, definitely have less of a power lifter mindset right now and more of a sculpting mindset, you know? I just want the aesthetics, I want the symmetry, and I also especially as a man, I rid myself of the I have to get big thing. Big beyond any type of reasonable dimension or proportion type of big, right? I got that out of my head. So that was a level up in my opinion, personally. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I think I'm going to do some rows after this with the machine. And that's a big thing in my opinion, being able to do machine work, right? Sometimes I watch The Blade, Dexter Jackson, and how he talks about doing machines and the benefit in using machines. And I agree. Like, if you have the mindset of someone who's trying to sculpt and shape your body, then it's definitely advantageous to utilize, like, Nautilus style equipment, you know, whatever the brand names are, Cybex, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And machines are, in my opinion, they're awesome. So I like using machines, and I've gotten good results using machines. So, and I also get good results from doing calisthenics, because a lot of people say you can't get big from doing calisthenics. Tell that to every person who's in a max. And then what's your excuse? Oh, they have a lot of time on their hands, and, you know, they could sleep a lot, and all they do is work out. Okay, so I mean, what is it? You can't get big on calisthenics, or now there's a certain reason why people do get big, but you just said they can't get big, right? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, I think a lot of people are also followers. You know, it's sad, but it takes for a shift in the culture for followers to then be like, if there are enough people with herd mentality basically agreeing to something, then it's like, oh, okay, then yeah, you know, it's okay.
Yes, it's out of order though.
You broke it?
I'm gonna use this right here for, let me just see. Trying to get like a V-bar. She's on that. Let's see. Miss, are you done with this?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, so I'm gonna go here. Okay. like I was saying, I'm not gonna harp on this too long because it often comes out as negative, but it's the truth, right? So people do have a herd mentality because, you know, I don't feed into the negativity too much, but you know, I got a comment from someone recently talking about not one rep was done. You sound like not only do you sound like a hater, but you sound like someone who doesn't know enough, right? Because in this realm, like maybe you never heard about cheek curls, where you use momentum to get past sticking points. So if you do a cheek curl, which is like basically a bounce, right? You use a momentum bounce to get up to the halfway point, right? Because from this lower than halfway point to the halfway point is a bit of a sticking point, right? So if it's a heavier weight than you could do with strict form, guess what? Over time, couple of weeks, using a cheek bounce or momentum, you can then go back to a previous weight that was challenging to you and it'd be easy. Perhaps you don't know about that, right? So when you say not one rep was done, the reason why I say herd mentality is because it took a whole bunch of dudes who have time being down and behind bars to bring to the forefront what shorties are all about, right? And before that started penetrating the culture, you'd say the same thing. You'd say how not one rep was done until shorties came out. And then it's like, oh, I should do that too, right? It's the same thing with pull-ups. You apply shorties to pull-ups, you apply it to push-ups, and it takes the penetration of culture for herd mentality to then be like, damn, these guys are getting jacked. You know, I don't want to be left behind. So whereas before, I would just attack because you heard a whole bunch of saying not one rep was done. Now you're like, you know what? They're getting jacked and it's working. So I need to incorporate that into my regimen as well. See how that goes? And that's all I got to say about that. And that goes back to the whole not one rep was done thing. When sometimes you use something like a cheat bounce or you use momentum to be able to get past sticking points, you know? And you may be someone who frequents the gym. You may be someone who kind of knows your stuff. But at the same time, it's usually a person who's not quite elevated to a higher level who's just gonna come out their face and be negative and lead with negativity, saying something like that, like not one rep was done. You know, that's really all I gotta say about that. Like, you think I can curl 25s on each side on a straight bar? Of course I can. Clearly I had something in my mind because it was more than 25s actually, it was 35s, it was 30s, right? So if you use a cheat bounce on like, let's say 45s, right, which is 135, and then over time, you're not gonna be doing a cheat bounce all the time, right? Less and less and less to the point of where instead of using a cheat bounce for momentum, you can then get to a place where you're pretty much using strict form on that same weight. In this case, let's just say it was 135, right? And eventually, the next level up would be you put your back against the wall flush and curl that same weight. In this case, it'd be 135. Can you strict form curl 135? Straight bar. Those are the levels. So if you just see one thing and it's like, oh, you know, he was doing 35s on each side or 30s on each side and he was using momentum. Say you don't know about this culture by saying the things you say. This feels good. 3, 4. Wow. Can't really say you don't get good pumps from machines. I'm getting good flow right now from this machine work, so I definitely support machine work, you know. Machines are awesome, in my opinion. Do one more set, and then we'll move on to lat pull downs. You know? And you can get a workout in really, really fast. You know? Let's go. I'm gonna go lat pull downs next. Whew. It's always good to get trying to find a lat pull down. This one's out of order. He's using that. She's using that. She's using that. He's using that. This is like it's an assisted. Rear delts, like reverse on the pec deck. That's basically, in my opinion, like I would do that on shoulder day. So I didn't even know there's a pull-up bar right there. Excuse me. I'm gonna use this right here. Okay. I don't know if she was, yeah, I think she was using this weight. Good for you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. She's definitely strong. She's doing that weight. I didn't really watch her, so I don't know how she was doing the weight, but she's definitely strong. She's doing that weight. And I literally just jumped in on the machine right after her, so good for you. You know? Honestly, I'm not gonna let my pride get in the way where if I just get on a machine right after a female and like I have to go lighter in weight than her. Hey, listen. Just because she's a woman doesn't mean she can't be stronger than me. You know, she might be trained right now. She might be at a certain level, whereas I have to step my game up. You know? It also doesn't mean like a woman can't be, you know, stronger than me after I've been training for a while. I remember when I was, I went to a college, right? Where did I go? I think it was like, what's the school? I don't know if it was a Temple or St. John. I think it was St. John's University in Queens. And I think it was there. Maybe it was like Stony Brook. I don't remember, right? So I was, me popping shit unnecessarily, me saying, a girl's not gonna beat me. And we went at it back and forth, doing core, right? Yo, when I say we were doing rollouts, we were doing ab rollouts, right? This woman, and I learned my lesson. And I'm not saying I couldn't have kept going, but we literally went on and on and on for over an hour straight, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, doing ab rollouts, right? Eventually, I stopped. She had a whole bunch of people there cheering her on, and a whole bunch of people were against me, and rightfully so. And that's why I say, like, my pride is not that high where I would say a female can't, crush a man. I do think plenty of women can crush plenty of men. And that was an example in my life when she didn't crush me, but, she won. And again, I'm not saying I couldn't have kept going, but it was frivolous. Like in my mind, it was like, I'm going to wear her out, because I was able to. But it was like, this is frivolous because it's like, she's not going to give up, So it's like, you got it, because it was already like, it was ridiculous. It was like over an hour of us going back and forth doing ab rolls. It's like, she's going to win by default no matter what, because just it wasn't like it was a weight thing, right? It was a I'm not gonna stop thing, and she wasn't gonna quit. So by default, she wins, Because one of those situations where, I just learned my lesson. Like, don't underestimate anyone, right? Especially not a whole group. In this case, a whole gender, So I learned, like, you don't do that. That's just, it doesn't even make any sense, right? So, like I said, if a woman's been in here training for a long time, and it doesn't have to be necessarily that a female's been training and a male's untrained. It's just the fact that a woman has been training and she's just really strong, It'll be one of those situations where, the man's probably gonna have to take a loss. You have to take a L on that one, So that's just what it comes down to. So I did upper back, I did lower back, I did middle back. I think I'm gonna do calves, and then I'm also gonna do some. Yeah, that's all I need to do. Is calves. For the most part, I just wanted to do a quick routine on. A quick routine on back for this New Year's Eve. And that's what it comes down to. This is crazy weight someone set this to. More power to them. But I'm gonna go way lighter. See the calves. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Let's go. You just have to stay consistent, you know? That's just what it comes down to. With everything, really. Just try your best not to be frustrated, you know, going into a new year, 2026, and stay grounded, you know, fight the good fight. It's important. Three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. You know what I'm looking at right now on the TV? This is why I don't even watch television. Saying high school students, the percentage of high school students that have had a romantic relationship with AI. You believe that? High school students having romantic relationships with AI. This is where I'm like, maybe I'm getting old, I don't know. But that just sounds, look, to each their own, right? I'm not gonna attack anyone, but at the same time, it's like, what is that even? I mean, I guess I could kind of like wonder out of curiosity and be like, maybe assume what that could be like, but that does sound very peculiar, right? It's like, your AI assistant is someone you have like this kind of, I mean, it's clearly got to be some sort of psychological and emotional stimulation that's going on, right? And then you basically have found a way to where you have managed to put that to that type of usage, right? It's very interesting. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, don't get me wrong, right? There are obviously a lot of people watch television, right? So like right now, talking about like home prices rising, you know? So if we go from like AI as like a romantic interest to home prices steadily rising, you know, I guess we could, it's interesting, but at the same time, it's like, I'm also very grounded. Like, I get distracted easily, so it's like, I can't allow myself to be carried away with these type of interesting topics. and then like go down a rabbit hole of like wanting to learn more about those types of things. Like, it's not going to help me. It's just information that's like I said, it's peculiar. It's interesting, but can I actually use it other than like this is weird information that I know that like maybe I can bring up in some sort of odd conversation? No, it's not gonna help me, you know? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And besides, I'm trying to get out of the market, not in. So that's why I say it's coming from a place of where I know it's not going to work for me because I've already been through it. So when you're trying to get out of something, it's like, yeah, you definitely don't want to learn more about that because you just actually went through that whole thing and now you're on your way out and exiting. So it's like a relationship that you just got out of. It's like you're not trying to go back into, It's one of those types of things. Like I wouldn't be interested in the housing market. Like what's the outlook on the housing market? I'm not interested. That's the ex and relationship I just got out of. So one of those types of situations. And I do see a lot of like flu season or flu cases going up. I mean, that's good to know, I guess, This means you have to be a little bit more careful, like not just on what you touch, but what's around you, right? In the air. And that was a reminder. It's like, I definitely have to use some sanitizer after this. And I'm touching a lot, and this place is kind of packed. So you want to make sure I stay on point. All right, one more set here, and then I'm just gonna finish with some handstands. Done deal. Quick little half-hour routine. Got it in. And just staying consistent, All right, we're gonna end with some handstand work. Let's see if I have room to do this because this female is right here. Trying to find like a space because everyone's kind of like spaced out where they all have their own like little areas, but I'm gonna have to try and find like a spot. Like everyone is kind of like maybe right here. This is like a little spot right here. Guriga, what's up? Yes. Okay, this is Yeah, you know what? This is not good. This is not a good spot. Because these folks are doing what they're doing. And I do think I'm going to like, it's just not a good spot. So perhaps I can, let me see if that corner is available. Because this is my last exercise, really. They're over there. Let's just do it right here. We'll do it right here. Okay? I just do a few sets here, and then that's it, really. Boom. Okay. Do like 3 or 4 sets, and then it's over. There's like no place for me to really practice otherwise, so I'm just gonna do it right here on Front Street. Just clean my hands afterwards, and that's it. You know, I'm just trying to keep this like straight. I already did my pull-ups, so maybe I could do some dips afterwards, but I don't think it's really necessary. Just do a couple more sets here. Done deal. Yes, sir. Appreciate it. Do a few more rounds. I usually like to do these towards the end of my workout, and then you know, because when your body's kind of like worn out, and then you do it like when you're tired, that's the best time to do it, you know, because you know if you could do this when you're tired, you can do it.
That's actually what I do. Like, you know, whatever I know, I try. I see that it's the work I try to do.
Do like 2 more. Yes, sir. 2 more sets. It's over. I might do a couple of dips. Done deal. This woman that just passed, that's the woman that, like I said, was just really strong, you know? Like she was doing lat pull downs. It's like, yeah, she's strong. All right, here we go. Do like 1 more set. do the last one right here. And then I'll just do some dips for the road. Be a done deal. Last one. Last one. Let's go. Get some dips in. And while I'm here, just do some Roman chair. You know, we'll work hip flexors and we'll work core as well. Probably do like one more set and it's over. Okay, it's good. Don't forget to clean your hands. Prevent the germs from infiltrating. You know, we definitely don't want that. And that's it. Done deal. You know? It's over. Got a quick one in, you know?
I see what it is. I don't have to speak Spanish. No. I'm serious. I really, really nice spot. It's not well, whatever, you know, whatever. I don't care. I probably didn't make any money from it. Because it's New Year's Day, right? And when I told her she was fucking even worse. No, me, fool. Like, it's serious. Like, fucking let it. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. Like, I understand people want to make money. I get that. I don't think so.
On this New Year's Eve. You too. Thank you. Happy New Year's. You're welcome. It's a dumb deal. Oof. Bright. You know, it's not even 10 a.m. Right here, Yonkers, Cross County, right outside Multiplex Cinemas. And took about an hour, more or less. Got it done, so that's good, you know. Whew. Let's get some to munch on now. Oh. 36 degrees. It's definitely below 40 on this New Year's Eve. And that's fine. You know, I thought to myself, like, before I got the whip back, it was like I was doing these lives when it comes to like training and working out like consistently, because I didn't have the whip, you know, and I had more time to focus on working out. So now with the whip back, I got to divvy time, you know, and time is always like what it comes down to. And like when I look at 2026, it's about just making sure I have more time. You know, I think a lot of us want more time. And it's like if we really look at it, generally speaking, like someone asked a very good question the other day in a live stream about like what are your top 3 goals for 2026, right? Very good question. And correlated to time is, well, if you're financially free, if you don't have debt and your responsibilities go down, your anxiety goes down, chances are you'll have more time to do the things you want to do. So they're kind of correlated to one another, but being financially free, right? Making sure all debts are taken care of, right? And because yeah, they kind of correlate to one another, but it's like you could kind of maybe, depending on how you choose to go about like what you perceive to be financial literacy and independence, you could think like you may be one of those folks who has a whole bunch of debt, but you have disposable income. So if you have a whole bunch of debt, but you have disposable income, then maybe that's your idea of financial literacy and freedom. For me, I separate debt, and so for me, it's being completely debt-free, right? So that's first and foremost, being completely debt-free. And then second, like I need my liquidity and my credit to be all the way up. So I don't want to rely on my credit to increase my debt, No, I want my debt to be completely free and always have my credit all the way up. So, zero debt, high credit, extremely high liquidity, and I mean like just disposable income, like very high, right? Like when I say disposable income, like I don't mean like where I have to sell something. No, like I just have it, you know? Almost like cash on hand, right? So high liquidity, zero debt, high credit that I don't lean on, and basically crush the markets. That's my idea of financial freedom, right? And when all those things, in my humble opinion, are mastered, then chances are you're probably gonna have more time on your hands. Free time to do the things you like and want to do. And that's my humble opinion. And when you have more time to do the things you're passionate about and that you want and like to do, then you can basically divvy more time consistently to engage in whatever your passions are. Like for me, for example, I just finished on this live stream a back workout, right? But right now, I have to find the time to do that. So that's a challenge. When you have the time and you don't have to worry about trying to find the time because your anxiety's down and everything I just broke down and explained is where it needs to be, you don't have to worry about that stuff because you're good to go, you know? So that's how I look at it, and that's what I think is extremely important to figure out, you know? Because honestly, you know, not to put anyone down, but most people don't ever figure that out. And there's a reason why only 1% of people truly do figure that out. Because it requires a lot of discipline, a lot of sacrifice, you know, and it's quite challenging, in all honesty. So, you know, that's okay. That's all right. I'm just trying to find some hazelnuts, or chestnuts, actually. Like, usually they're in the produce section, but I'm not finding them right now. Let me also see if they have, because like if I go to Whole Foods, I could pretty much get whatever I want, right? But let's see.
Oh, where you going? Delaware?
Excuse me. Can you tell me where the canned fish are?
Canned fish is a 3 on the left.
All right, thank you. So, yeah, I may not get the chestnuts, but that's okay. If I don't find it, it's all right. You know, it's not meant for me to get right now, and that's okay. It's totally fine. Let's see. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have, because usually, if you see this right here, Bumblebee, whenever it says in oil, and they don't specify what oil, because when they specifically tell you what type of oil, they're proud of it. But when they say this, they're not so proud of it, because you know you're like cheaping out, you know? And yeah, it's cottonseed oil. Yeah, you're cheaping out. It's like cheap oil, you know? And it's problematic oil at the same time. So they do that on purpose. You just have to understand the language to realize the trickery, you know? And it's unfortunate that they do that, you know, because not only are they cheaping out for profit, but they're trying to harm you. They're literally trying to hurt you health-wise. Excuse me. Thank you. And a lot of people don't know that, you know. And also, like, piggybacking off what I was saying about there's only 1% that make it as far as like financial independence. That's another one. It's not because people don't have the desire, right? Why are 99% not making it? It's not because they don't want to make it. Of course they do. Of course they want to make it. No, it's because they are not exactly sure how. And at the same time, it's not just ignorance. It's also the fact that it's extremely challenging because it requires a lot of discipline and sacrifice, you know? So, we're a little over an hour. I can't find exactly what I'm trying to get in here, but that's okay. You know, it's all right. Not every store has what I'm trying to get, which is okay. Is this self-checkout? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of self-checkout. Not that I need to be babied by a cashier, but at the same time, it's like, it's usually some sort of machine. You run into issues and then you have to call on a person to come help you anyways, right? This is probably why. But then that's an issue at 10 o'clock in the morning where you got a bunch of folks that are lining up, you know? So it's like, okay, I gotta go right back to where I started from, you know? Right back. Okay. Yeah, the line is crazy.
Welcome. If you are a Scan It customer,
No,
please
I'm
scan
not.
the barcode on your Scan It or Scan It mobile device. $2.49. $2.49. $2.49.
That's a lot of 249s.
Scan. How many paper bags did you
None.
use?
Just give me a second. I'm gonna.
Is 8:13. Please wait.
I'm just
System
gonna
processing.
pay for this.
Please follow the instructions on the pin pad.
No cash back. You know, that's another thing, right? When I was younger, all I knew how to do was withdraw. And now all I know how to do is deposit.
Please remember to
Thank
take
you.
your receipt. Thank you for shopping at
I don't know if I can leave this way, but let's see. See if I can. Yeah, I think I can leave this way. Ooh, that wind is blowing. Sheesh. I gotta put the coat on. You know, I came out into a false sense of security with the sun out and the wind wasn't blowing, but now it is, and it's like, okay, yeah, I gotta put that coat right back on because it's definitely like probably low 30s right now, or right around 30 something, 35 maybe, mid 30s. I don't even know where this vehicle is at, but I have to put this coat on. That's all I know. and I am going to put this coat on immediately. You know, I'm looking at like different people who like, there are a lot of people who use scratch offs, you know, and no disrespect to anyone using scratch offs, because there are a lot of people who play the lotto, you know, but if I may just give my opinion, you know, it's just my thoughts. I think scratch offs and lotto tickets, and this may sound like common sense, like it's obvious, but it's just, you're just really shooting in the dark, you know, just really just like low tier gambling, where it's like if you get addicted to it and you're constantly like a dollar here, dollar here, dollar here, dollar here, dollar here every day, and you're like, maybe you got that one hit where it was like, I won $100. It makes up for 100 times I put $1 in. Okay. But you know, you're really invested time-wise and energy-wise into like the hope. So like what happens if you like put like over the course of years, because you're kind of hooked on it, right? Over the course of years, you put like $300 in and you have the hope of hitting like $10,000 or whatever it is they are. I'm out the loop, right? So I'm not sure. But like you want to try and get $25,000. But you got a little taste of it because you got that 100 that one time, but and you rationalized it because you were like, that made up for 100 tickets where I was spending $1. And I don't know, maybe it's $2, maybe it's $5, who knows? But that one lick got you hooked even further, where it's like that made up. But then years have gone by and you're still paying $1, $2, $3, $5, whatever it is. And it's like, is it worth it? You know? So, in my humble opinion, I wouldn't do it. So, I just think I'd rather put the money in the markets. You know? Put it in Tesla. Put it in Bitcoin. You know? Put it in Verizon. You have a better chance of having your funds go up. And some of them pay out dividends, right? And in crypto, it's like staking, right? So if it's like stablecoin or Ethereum, you keep it in there for a year, you get some sort of payout, right? That's what staking is. It's basically just like dividends. So in my humble opinion, it's like, I would say it's a better bet than scratch offs, but to each their own. You know, everyone is different in how they go about it. I just know that even if it's something you can afford and it's not really expensive, your time, energy, and effort is invested, and you can't get that back. You know, and when you're investing in like hope, that's quite taxing. You know, so yeah, that's all I'm saying about that. And it's important to preserve your peace of mind, your energy, and guard your energy. You know, I learned that the hard way over years. And it's important to keep learning lessons and not staying stuck and stubborn when you know the lessons are there and you've already rationalized enough, you've already made the deeper analysis, the prognosis is there, where you basically said to yourself, look, I'm pretty sure this is the reason why this is happening and it's not working for me. So I'm going to make these changes. I have to make these changes because if I don't make these changes, then I'm going to stay stuck. So if you know that in your mind, then it's like, what's going on here? You know, I know exactly what I probably should and should not do, but I'm choosing to stay in a situation that is like not helping me. That's insanity. So I think it's important to remove yourself from situations. And the reason why this just even came up was because I saw someone in their vehicle with their head down, super engrossed on like a rectangular piece of, you know, like a card, which was basically a scratch off, you know? And I'm just like, I see that, and it's, to me, it's the equivalent where someone who's in the know, and I'm not saying I'm better than anyone else or like I'm all knowing and like I'm this, you know, master, wizard, guru. No, I'm just saying from my experience and things that are working and things that did not work, to me, that's like the person who's overweight in the middle of July who has a whole bunch of layers on, and underneath their layers, they have garbage bags on, like, so that they can basically dehydrate themselves. And then when they remove their clothes, like, you have a whole bunch of sweat pulled up, and then you like let that out, and it's like you're convinced you're doing something. That's not it. In my humble opinion, that's not it. To me, that's like the scratch-offs, you know? And then I'm sure someone's gonna rationalize that by saying, you know, everyone has their own way of living their lives. Sure, of course. You know, what can you say to that? You can't say anything. You're right. To each their own. But then it goes back to like what I was saying. There's a reason why 99% fail and only 1% make it. You know? And I try not to attack anyone, but at the same time, I try and put out jewels in bits and pieces. And it takes a really curious mind to really dig for the hidden truths. You know, sometimes they're right in front of you. They're right